I work with some of the best people in the world.
You're watching a powerhouse race team that dominated for decades suddenly disappear. Not because they stopped winning, not because the riders gave up, but because a single sponsor walked away. That's exactly what happened to Geico Honda, one of the most successful 250 dirt bike race teams in motocross history. For over 2 decades, they trained champions, pushed boundaries, and became a launch pad for legends. Then, in 2020, they were gone. Why did such a respected team collapse so quickly? And how did they rise to that level of power in the first place? To understand that, you have to rewind to the late 90s, back to a time when this entire operation started from almost nothing. Before Geico logos, before championship banners, before the powerhouse reputation, this was the Factory Connection Honda team, and their story is one of ambition, opportunity, and brutal reality. It all started with Mike LaRocco. In 1996, he was a national champion without a ride. Suzuki had dropped him after a rough couple of seasons. Many thought his best days were behind him, but LaRocco wasn't done. He connected with Rick Ziggy Steelfelder, the man behind Factory Connection Suspension. Ziggy had already helped Damon Bradshaw a year earlier when Bradshaw lost his Yamaha deal. They decided to build a new team, centered around Mike LaRocco. They didn't have massive funding, they didn't have a glamorous factory deal. What they had was determination, a few smart allies, and a surprisingly clever sponsorship trick. Their first big name on the shrouds? Jack in the Box. The twist? It wasn't some $1 million contract. It was a small sponsor deal through a family connection, but they made it look big. They promoted Jack in the Box like it was a title sponsor, giving the team instant credibility. Perception is everything in racing. Fans saw a recognizable brand on the bikes and assumed this was a serious program. In reality, they were still hustling behind the scenes to make it all work. The 1998 and 1999 seasons were built around LaRocco alone. He wore O'Neill gear. He rode the famously stiff first-generation aluminum frame Hondas, and he showed he still had the fire.
Mike LaRocco on a Suzuki last year reached out to Jack in the Box in Factory Connection to set up his own team for this season. Riding a Honda, Mike, like Jeremy, could become only the second rider in the history of Supercross to win on 3 different brands.
By 1999, the team had earned more factory support. The team looked sharper. They had proper presence in the pits, and quietly, the foundation for something big was forming. The turn of the millennium brought their first major step up. AMSOIL came on board as a title sponsor in 2000.
I'm Mike LaRocco. Whether I'm on the track or driving my family car, I rely on improving performance of AMSOIL.
AMSOIL synthetic motor oil outperforms conventional motor oils. AMSOIL is specially formulated to deliver outstanding wear protection and increased power, performance, and fuel economy in high and low temperatures.
Drive with the best. AMSOIL, the first in synthetics.
LaRocco wins!
This was real funding. This was legitimacy. They expanded to include Chris Gosler in the 125 class, the son of legendary mechanic Mike Gosler. They started fielding multiple riders. The bikes looked better. The team was growing. By 2001, they landed a game-changing partner, Doc Martens. Yes, the shoe company. And this wasn't a token sponsorship. Doc Martens guaranteed the team's race budget for the year. It was a serious commitment, driven by a motocross fan inside the company who believed in the project. That year, Honda made Factory Connection its official 125 support team. Their profile skyrocketed. They were no longer just helping a veteran stay in the game. They were shaping the future. Steve Boniface and Brandon Jessamine led their 125 efforts. Mike LaRocco kept the big bike program strong. The yellow and red bikes looked sharp. Fans were starting to notice this team. And behind the scenes, Ziggy's suspension business was thriving. That extra technical expertise gave the team a unique edge. They weren't just racing, they were fine-tuning machinery at a level many factory programs respected. Then came 2002, a pivotal year for Honda. The debut of the CRF 450R. Ricky Carmichael switching to Honda. LaRocco was tapped to ride the prototype 450 in the Nationals. He delivered strong results. The team was no longer a quirky underdog. They were becoming a serious force. But it was the 2002 Supercross that really changed everything. Travis Preston shocked everyone by beating James Bubba Stewart for the 125 West Supercross title. Yes, Bubba, the unstoppable amateur phenom, the guy everyone thought would steamroll the class. Preston outlasted him. And Factory Connection AMSOIL Honda had their first major championship.
Okay, I'm just gonna thank my sponsors and I'm gonna get out of here. AMSOIL, Dennis from Doc Martens, Honda. I mean, my bikes are awesome. Those guys work really hard. I'm really happy with my bike. Doug from Bridgestone, O'Neill, Bevo from Scott, especially my parents. My girlfriend Hannah for doing my laundry, going to the races.
It was a signal to the entire industry. This wasn't a farm team anymore. This was a contender. For the next few years, more pieces fell into place. Chaparral Motorsports joined as a sponsor. New amateur talent flowed in. Kevin Windham made his comeback with the team in 2003, riding the CRF 450R without the factory pressure. That comeback lit up the Nationals. Windham looked relaxed, fast, and genuinely happy again. Fans loved it, and the team's image shifted from scrappy upstart to beloved powerhouse. By 2004, they had the new CRF 250R in the smaller class. The sport itself was changing fast. Four-strokes were taking over, and Factory Connection was adapting better than most. They signed Josh Grant out of the amateurs. They were grooming riders like Pro Circuit Kawasaki. They had multiple sponsors: AMSOIL, Chaparral, Napster, Sobe, Samsung, and their presence in the pits was huge. From 1998 to 2005, the transformation was incredible. They went from a one-man rescue mission to one of the most professional, well-funded, and talent-stacked teams in the paddock. And soon, Geico would arrive. Before we jump into the Geico era, let me ask you something. How many race teams can you name that started small and became the official pathway to a factory ride? Not many. That's what makes this story so special. They weren't handed success. They built it, season by season, deal by deal, rider by rider. And when Geico signed on in 2008, everything went into overdrive. By 2008, the team had already proven it could win, but what came next would take everything to another level. The year began with Torco Racing Fuels as the new title sponsor. The bikes didn't look great. That squiggly shroud design was not a fan favorite, but the roster was stacked. Kevin Windham led the 450 program. Josh Grant, Jake Weimer, and Dan Reardon handled the 250s, and a rookie named Trey Kennard shocked everyone by winning the 250 Supercross title in his first try.
My name is Trey Kennard from Elk City, Oklahoma, age 17. Ride for Torco Racing Fuels Honda, Planet Fitness Gyms, AMSOIL, and No Fear Energy.
That win mattered. It showed that this team wasn't just grooming veterans and solid riders anymore, they were producing champions. Timing couldn't have been better because midway through 2008, Geico Power Sports entered the picture. They joined as a partial sponsor for the Vegas round, then went all in for 2009. And just like that, the Factory Connection AMSOIL Honda team became Geico Honda. This was a huge deal. Geico was a mainstream, non-endemic sponsor with deep pockets. Their involvement gave the team the financial firepower to compete with anyone. They had the look, the backing, and the talent pipeline to become Honda's official 250 operation. And 2009 marked the start of that golden stretch. The bikes looked incredible that year. Red, yellow, and black with that Geico logo front and center. It was a callback to the early AMSOIL yellow wing designs, but sharper, cleaner. On track, they fielded Kevin Windham on the redesigned 450. In the 250 class, they had Trey Kennard, Daniel Reardon, Blake Wharton, Brett Metcalf, and a fiery rookie named Justin Barsha. Barsha debuted midway through the season and instantly turned heads. He was raw, aggressive, and unbelievably fast. Fans either loved him or couldn't stand him, but nobody ignored him. He finished 5th overall outdoors in his rookie year, announcing himself as a future star. Metcalf delivered strong results too, finishing 3rd outdoors. The team didn't grab a title that year, but the momentum was undeniable. 2010 brought another step forward. The 250 received a full redesign, and while the new bike had mixed reviews, the riders delivered. Trey Kennard backed up his Supercross title by winning the 250 Outdoor National Championship, beating Pro Circuit's Christophe Pourcel in a dramatic late-season charge. It was a statement. Pourcel was supposed to dominate. Kennard outfought him when it counted, and Geico Honda finally had a national title. But the real story that summer was Eli Tomac. He showed up at Hangtown for his pro debut and did something no one had ever done before. Won his very first race. Not just a moto, the entire overall. He looked smooth, fast, and mature beyond his years. By 2011, the team had shifted gears. Mike LaRocco, the man who had been their cornerstone rider in the early days, became team manager. It was a fitting transition. He'd gone from lone veteran to symbol of the program, and now he'd lead it from the pits. The roster that year featured Eli Tomac, Justin Barcia, Blake Wharton, and Will Hahn in the 250 class. Kevin Windham continued to carry the 450 banner. On the track, Barcia finally grabbed his long-awaited Supercross crown. Tomac came close outdoors but fell short. It was a strong season across the board. And what's striking is how deep the team was becoming. They weren't relying on one breakout star. They had a pipeline of fast young riders all capable of winning. 2012 might have been their most balanced year yet. Justin Barcia and Eli Tomac absolutely tore through Supercross. Barcia won the East, Tomac won the West. Geico Honda swept both 250 Supercross championships. Outdoors, they were just as strong. Both riders finished second and third overall behind Blake Baggett. Even though they didn't win the national title that year, they had the two fastest 250 riders not on pro circuit. And behind them, younger riders like Justin Bogle and Will Hahn were coming up. Kevin Windham was entering his 19th season, still competitive, still loved by fans. The team had experience, youth, and results. They were becoming the team to beat in the 250 class. But in racing, nothing stays still. 2013 brought some big changes. Justin Barcia moved up to the factory Honda 450 team. Zach Osborne joined from Europe, looking to revive his career. Eli Tomac was now the undisputed team leader, and he delivered. Indoors, he finished second in 250 West Supercross behind Ken Roczen. Outdoors, he finally captured his first 250 national championship.
Eli Tomac. Tomac's gonna fire up the attack again. Down to the inside is Tomac. He takes the lead. Eli Tomac wins again. 7 straight moto victories for him.
He'd been knocking on the door since 2010. In 2013, he slammed it open. It was also the end of an era. At the second round of the Supercross season, Kevin Windham shocked everyone by announcing his retirement. 2 decades of racing, multiple wins, a loyal Geico Honda rider in his final years. And just like that, he was gone.
Retirement is for me, it feels like a chapter. I mean, just the next chapter. Yeah, it was a great one. I don't know that I'll ever do anything that will make me feel or give me the feeling of accomplishment as what I've already done and achieved, but it was something that eventually had to come. Today was the right day. It was the right time.
Tomac became the team's focal point going into 2014. Will Hahn moved up to the 450s. Meanwhile, riders like RJ Hampshire and others were starting to fill the amateur pipeline. Justin Bogle was also emerging as a surprise star. After breaking vertebrae in a nasty offseason crash, he returned mid-season and won the 250 East Supercross title. It was gritty, unexpected, and pure Geico Honda style. Tomac's first full 450 season was a bit rocky. He didn't dominate right away, but his talent was obvious, and the team had another Supercross championship to celebrate. 2015 was the final peak of that golden era. Eli Tomac was in his second 450 season, faster than ever. He started the outdoor series by winning 5 straight motos. He looked untouchable. Then he had a devastating crash at Thunder Valley, separating both his shoulders and ending his season. It was brutal. You could almost feel the entire paddock deflate. On the 250 side, Justin Bogle finished second in the East, but outdoors the team couldn't touch Jeremy Martin's Yamaha. They were still strong, but cracks were starting to show. Geico Honda was no longer the scrappy underdog. They were the big team, with big expectations. And when injuries or performance dips hit, the pressure mounted fast. Still, when you look at 2008 to 2015 as a whole, it's an incredible run. Multiple Supercross titles, a national championship, top amateur signings every year, a strong Honda partnership, mainstream sponsorship, a star pipeline that produced Tomac, Barcia, Kennard, and more. This was their golden generation. Fans saw that red and yellow bike and expected wins. Other teams respected them, and every young rider dreamed of getting that Geico Honda call. But the motocross world never stands still. Sponsorships change, factories shift priorities, riders leave, and behind the scenes, costs were rising. The next chapter wouldn't be as kind. Every empire eventually faces its test. For Geico Honda, that test started in 2016. The biggest blow came before the season even began. Eli Tomac, the rider they had groomed from amateur prodigy to 250 national champion, left for factory Kawasaki. His departure created a huge void. He wasn't just a fast rider, he was the face of their program, their anchor in the 450 class. To fill that gap, they moved Justin Bogle up to 450s. He just won the 250 East Supercross title in 2014 and finished second the year before, and had the talent. But he wasn't Eli. On the 250 side, the team added Christian Craig, brought back RJ Hampshire, and gave rides to Malcolm Stewart and Jimmy Dakotas. The results were mixed. Outdoors, the team showed flashes of speed, but lacked consistency. Supercross was better, with Malcolm Stewart winning the 250 East title, a personal redemption story after years of inconsistency, but compared to their glory years, it was clear. The team wasn't as dominant anymore. 2017 brought major changes again. Geico signed Jeremy Martin, a two-time 250 outdoor champion, hoping to restore their outdoor dominance. They also promoted Chase Sexton, their latest amateur star. Jimmy Dakotas stayed on for Supercross. Christian Craig returned. RJ Hampshire stayed in the mix. The bikes looked incredible that year. Full red plastics, bold Geico branding, easily one of the cleanest designs they'd ever done. But on the track, the results didn't match the aesthetics. Jeremy Martin was fast, but fell short of titles. He finished second outdoors, ironically losing to his former team star Yamaha and his future rival Zach Osborne. Supercross titles slipped away too, and for a team that built its identity on winning, being close wasn't enough. Sponsorship money was still flowing, but the cost of racing was climbing fast. Four-stroke technology kept evolving, development budgets grew, and while Geico was still the title sponsor, they were increasingly the only major outside sponsor left. In the early 2000s, the team had multiple corporate sponsors: Jack in the Box, AMSOIL, Sobe, Samsung, Doc Martens. By the late 2010s, that diversity was gone. They were essentially a single sponsor team, and that's risky for any racing program. 2018 was a rough one. Honda redesigned the CRF 250R, switching to a dual overhead cam engine. The new bike promised high revs and more power, but in reality, it struggled against the dominant Star Yamahas. The Geico riders complained that they were getting yarded down straights. No amount of suspension magic could hide a horsepower deficit. On the roster, Jeremy Martin returned, Chase Sexton was still developing, Christian Craig and RJ Hampshire were back, Cameron McAdoo joined as a rookie. Results were frustrating. Indoors, they weren't title threats. Outdoors, Martin looked strong early but suffered a devastating back injury that nearly ended his career. He broke vertebrae in a crash, required multiple surgeries, and missed more than a year of racing. It was a scary reminder that this sport can change everything in a split second. And for the team, it meant their best title hope was gone. But in the middle of this struggle, Chase Sexton started to come alive. He wasn't the fastest guy in 2019 Supercross, but when Austin Forkner imploded late in the season, Sexton was there to capitalize. He won the 250 East Supercross title, catching many by surprise. It was the kind of win that Geico Honda used to specialize in: unexpected, gritty, perfectly timed. Sexton wasn't handed the title, but he took advantage when opportunity opened up, and it gave the team a much-needed shot of momentum. They also brought in Hunter Lawrence from Australia, and his younger brother Jet Lawrence soon followed. These two brought raw talent, charisma, and a new wave of excitement. Jet especially connected with fans almost instantly. He was fearless, cheeky, and incredibly fast for his age. It felt like maybe Geico Honda was setting the stage for a second golden run. But behind the scenes, the financial situation was becoming fragile. By 2020, the team had one of the most exciting 250 rosters in years. Jeremy Martin returning from injury, Chase Sexton defending his title, Hunter and Jet Lawrence rising fast, Christian Craig adding veteran experience, and Joe Shimoda making his debut. On track, the season was a success. Sexton proved that his 2019 title wasn't a fluke. He backed it up by winning the 250 East Supercross Championship again, then moved up to 450s for the outdoors and impressed everyone with his speed. Jeremy Martin looked like his old self outdoors, winning multiple rounds and challenging Dylan Ferrandis for the title. Jet Lawrence scored his first career win at the final round, signaling the arrival of a future superstar. The podium at that race was a sea of red. Geico Honda riders everywhere. If you just looked at results, you'd think this team was thriving, but the end was already set in motion. In late 2020, Geico announced they were pulling out of all motorsport sponsorship. No gradual wind down, no slow fade. They were gone. For most teams, losing your title sponsor is a challenge. For Geico Honda, it was a death sentence. They didn't have a deep pool of other sponsors to lean on. They didn't have a factory budget big enough to keep going independently. Within weeks, the team announced they were shutting down. Just like that, after 22 years of racing, championships, and iconic riders, it was over. The final race of the 2020 season became an emotional farewell. Geico Honda riders lit up the track. Sexton dominated on the 450. Jet Lawrence took his first win in the 250 class. Christian Craig stood on the podium. It was as if the entire team decided to go out swinging. For fans, it was surreal. One of the most successful, consistent, and beloved teams in modern motocross history was gone. not because of poor results, but because a single sponsor left. It highlighted just how fragile racing programs can be, even at the top level. They'd weathered injuries, roster changes, and technological shifts, but sponsorship was the one thing they couldn't control. When you look back, the Geico Honda story is both inspiring and sobering. They rose from a small, underfunded effort helping a veteran keep racing to a title-winning powerhouse that shaped the careers of some of the biggest names in the sport. They gave us LaRocco's late career podiums, Windham's comeback, Preston's upset title, Tomac's legendary rookie win, Barcia's aggression, Canard's heart, Sexton's rise, and the Lawrence brothers' arrival. Their bikes were iconic. Their team was respected. Their impact was massive. And yet, when the financial rug was pulled out, everything disappeared almost overnight. It makes you wonder, how many other great teams are only one phone call away from the same fate? And will we ever see another 250 program like Geico Honda again? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the rise and fall of Geico Honda, hit that next video for more epic stories. What's your favorite Geico Honda memory? Tell us in the comments. There are a lot to choose from. Thanks for watching, and stay wicked.